Hello everyone and welcome in this third video of parental care in amphibians. We are going to talk about the endurance parental care. Now when I say anura, I mean the frogs and toads. The frogs and toads generally, and the endurance, of course, the amphibians. The parental care is reached its peak. So while an apoda and an Urodela in nude salamanders, etc., while we saw that only a few of the species showed parental care, in the endurance, many organisms exhibit parental care. In fact, most of them do show parental care. Now, the protection by means of nest and nurseries. Of course, we already know that in every kind of parental care, there is direct and indirect, either protection of nest or direct parental care. Okay, so by the nest and nurseries is the first. So in Triton, the eggs may be fixed with aquatic weeds by glues. A number of different species of frogs lay their eggs in suitable places. Right, so Triton, let's see about. This is Triton or Tritarian, the great crested newt. Its eggs, as I told you before, are placed in the aquatic weeds by a gluey mass and stick to the aquatic weeds. Now, in the case of Rana tigrina, the Indian frog, lay eggs in pond water like a bunch of jelly. So that's Rana tigrina, Indian frog that lays eggs in a jelly. Yeah, so you can see the picture of the eggs in Rana tigrina. So this kind of in egg jelly, a sticky mass, they produce the egg so that it could be protected from the harsh environment and also by the predators. So here it is, the protection by nest, nurseries or shelters. So the most important point in this kind of protection of parental care by the nest, by formation of nest and nurseries, that selection of site is very important. Now, many amphibians lay eggs in protected moist microhabitat on land. Many tropical frogs and toads lay eggs on land near water. Many tree frogs lay their eggs not on land but on leaves and branches overhanging water. Example, Rachophorus and Hylodus. So some, as they say, some neurons lay their eggs on land, on soil, by producing a hole-like structure. They create a hole or dig a hole and lay the eggs in there. So that happens in land. Then some lay eggs in near water or inside water, or many of them lay their eggs over leaves. Leaves, hanging leaves, they lay their eggs while there is water underneath. So their example is Rachophorus and Hylodus. We should see a video about that.
But one determined frog stands by his young. The reticulated glass frog. It's named for its transparent skin. His organs hard at work. He's got nothing to hide. Mom is nowhere to be found. Dad alone guards the clutch 24/7 until the eggs become tadpoles. Sometimes this means defending his brood from their worst enemy. Squadrons of carnivorous rainforest wasps take to the air. A deadly threat for a frog. They're aggressive.
Now here you can see that its eggs laid on the surface of the leaves.
And nearly as big as the glass frog himself. They're not interested in him. want his eggs. But Dad is not willing to.
So we saw what is about selection of site. Now the second is defending eggs or territories. Males of green frog, Rana calamitans, and other species maintain territories and attack small intruders to defend eggs. Male or female even guards the eggs. So in selection of a site, there are some frogs that lay eggs on land, some near water, some inside water, and some on leaves hanging over water. Right. So let's go to the next slide. And direct caring by parents. So we talked about in parental care, there is either caring by the formation of nests and nurseries. The second is direct caring by parents. So it happens at the first coiling around the eggs. So in Ichthyophis, Apoda Ichthyophis, we have seen the female coils round its eggs and sits there protecting its eggs. So in anurans, let's see in Congo eel, Amphiuma, and certain calcaceans, that's example of Urodella, the female lays large eggs. So lays eggs in burrows in damp soil and carefully guard them by coiling her body around them until they are hatched. Now the second is of course transferring tadpoles to water. Some species of small frogs in both tropical Africa and South America, the hatching tadpoles fasten themselves to the back of one of the parent with their sucker-like mouth and transport it to water. So, we saw that the first step is coiling around the eggs, where there are eggs in the stage of egg stage and the parents coil around them or sit there protecting their eggs. The second step is transferring the tadpoles to water, where there is, for example, a frog, and on its back the tadpoles stick on the parent's back so that the parent may carry them to the pond or the water reservoir where they can metamorphose into adult frog. Now it is important because the tadpoles do require water for their survival. Now the third step is of course eggs glued to body. Many amphibians, instead of remaining with the eggs, carry the eggs glued to their body. Example, dusky salamander. We had already seen that the dusky salamander sticks their egg around its neck. If it is neck, its body, so it sticks the eggs around its neck. The dusky salamander female, and it sticks the eggs around its neck, and that's the third way. Let's go to the next slide. Sorry. So many frogs and toads build nests in which the eggs are laid and developed. This is a primitive method of parent care. In these organisms, the larva comes out in a very early embryonic stage, which requires some kind of protection in the very early stages of development. Hence, the parent will build nest. Now, Hyla faber. It's a Brazilian tree frog. The female will construct a nest in the shallow waters of a pond. The female will dig a hole of 8 to 10 centimeter depth. The mud which comes out of it used with the female hyla to construct a wall around the hole. This wall is raised above level of water. Hyla will make the inner surface of its nursery smooth and even. The female will lay eggs in the nursery. The egg and larval forms are protected inside the structure. So as we can see, what is saying in Hyla faber, what's happened, the Brazilian tree frog, not free, it's tree. So what happens that the female frog does, it digs up a hole in the moist soil or the shallow waters of the pond, digs a hole and constructs a wall around it to protect its egg, and then the female lays eggs inside it and sits there protecting it. Right, so that's about Hyla faber. Now on a tree or away from water, American frog hylodus keep their eggs below the rock, mosses on leaves. The eggs of species are larger and development takes place as yolk is sufficient quantity. So let's see a video about this hylodus. Now the second is Rachophorus. The second is the Rachophorus malabaricus. It is called chumnam frog. It lays eggs on the branches or leaves of tree which will be hanging over a pond. These larvae, after hatching eggs, will fall into the pond water and undergo metamorphosis. So like we saw the video of the transparent frog, this is the Rachophorus malabaricus is also an example of that kind of frog which lays its eggs on hanging leaves of a tree. On the leaves this lays its eggs, as you can see in the picture, and in the below this hanging tree there is water, and when these eggs transform into tadpoles, they fall into the water and then undergo metamorphosis. So let's see a video about that. So it has created a frothy foamy nest substance and the hanging branches or the hanging leaves of a tree, as you can see, creating a nest with the leaves and a frothy substance. It's the male Rachophorus. So this is the next is Rachophorus selegi. So it is called Japan tree frog. Both male and female frog makes a burrow in the moss soil in the pond edge. Unlike the other Rachophorus, the selegi species does not create its nest on the hanging leaves, but in the soil, moss soil near the pond edge. And this hole is filled with foam by female. The female lays eggs in the foam. The male and female animals will make an exit tunnel into the pond from the hole. The larvae developed from eggs will be carried to the liquid form by the foam into the pond through these tunnels. Now the second is Hyla resinipectris. It is a tree frog again, and will make use of the holes in the trees, lay its eggs there, and it lines the hole with a beeswax pot from bee comb. Female animal lays eggs in this hole when filled with rainwater. Now the fifth one is Lepidodactylus mystianicus. It takes a hole in the moss soil near the pond. This hole is filled with foam which is secreted by the oviducts of the female. Female lays eggs in it, and the eggs hatch into larvae, and then the pond will get good amount of water from rain. Then these holes are also surrounded by pond water, and the larvae will then enter the pond and grow. So they dig a hole in the moss soil near a pond, and there is foam inside of it, and the female lays eggs upon it, in the foam, and then the holes are surrounded by the pond water. There is pond water around it, and when the eggs turn into tadpoles, they are released into this pond water. So let's see a video about it. This is the Lepidodactylus mystianicus, and it's sitting inside the hole that is its nest, and there's a frothy mass in which it is laid its egg. The next is Hyla nebulosa. It lays its eggs in the nest, and this nest is made by dry leaves. As you can see in the picture, this is Hyla nebulosa, and it looks like dry leaves, and it has created its on the dry leaves, the brown dry leaves, as you can see. The brown dry leaves, as you can see, all this. It is its nest and the dry leaves, and it lays its eggs there. The eggs hatch and develop into small adults. Larval form is absent. Now direct development. Direct developments. In some terrestrial or tree frogs such as Arthropteris and Hylotus, the eggs hatch directly into little frogs, thus avoiding larval mortality. And in such kind of direct development, there is no need of parental care. Right, so there in such kinds where there is no larval stages, there is no need of parental care. Then is foam nests. Already we saw in the case of Rachophorus video with the video we saw of Rachophorus, in which it created a foam nest upon the hanging leaves of a tree. So many amphibians convert copious amount of mucus secretion to nest for their young. Then is mud nests. In Brazilian tree frog Hyla fabri, the male digs a little crater-like hole or nursery in mud in shallow water in which the female lays her eggs. We had already studied about this, that they dig a hole, create a wall surrounding it, puts foam inside it, and they then lays its eggs inside it. Then there is the tree nest. The South American tree frog Philomedusa hypochondrialis lays eggs in folded leaf nests with margins glued together by cloacal secretion. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe the video. And in the next video will be the last one of the parental care in amphibians. So thank you.